Hello, everyone. Welcome to UCS Podcasts. Through our podcasts, we, the team at UCS, are working to create awareness amongst our listeners on various issues around us which impact our lives. Over the last few weeks, several articles are being published in the newspapers and magazines about women wrestlers having filed a complaint alleging sexual harassment against the BJP MP Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who is the president of Wrestling Federation of India. Well, these articles got me thinking and framed the base for today's episode. In conversation with me, we have Ms. Anupama, our chief trainer from UCS, who is also a lawyer with over 20 years of experience in labor law, general corporate laws, who is a director on the boards of several companies and who is also a postgraduate diploma in industrial psychology. Welcome, Anupama. To begin with, I would like to ask you, POSH has been around for a decade now. However, I fail to understand why this law is taken so lightly, why the ignorance and non-compliance.
Thank you, Kaveri, and it's wonderful to be back again on the UCS podcast. Yes, I agree that the POSH law has been around for more than a decade, and often I actually take up this example. In 2013, we also got in the company law and the POSH law, and if you see the implementation of both the laws, you'll be surprised. The 2013 company law is followed to its teeth. Unfortunately, in case of the POSH law, it's nowhere close to being implemented. And often you will see that people start to wake up and realize that there's a law or that they had to do something about it only when something happens in their organization. And this is the same thing that has happened even in case of the Wrestling Federation of India. Actually, in this case, they had an ethics commission instead of the internal committee that they should have had, and that was being led by a male, Mr. Prasud. And this ethics committee was also in charge of handling any sexual harassment cases. It neither had a senior woman as the presiding officer, and it had only one woman against actually having 50% of the women in that committee, and did not even have an external member. That is how blatantly POSH law has been violated. To answer your question as to why it's taken lightly, well, I already told you the example between the company law and the POSH law. And there are several other reasons. However, I can speak only by personal experience. For example, most employers, at least I'm talking about the mid and the smaller segments, do not wish to educate their employees. In fact, I had a situation where I met a person and he blatantly told me, well, if I educate my women, they'll come to know more. They might even file false cases, so I prefer not to educate them. Second, there are so many things that the organization is spending money for, and conducting awareness training for their employees on POSH matters is not an important factor for them. Thirdly, most of them think they know law too well. In fact, I'm sure all of us would have had this experience where when you pick up a topic on law, everyone at home is also talking about it. Like in case of, let's say, the Wrestling Federation of India. They had a committee and they decided to use the same committee for POSH cases as well. Four, in our country, unless and until you actually have the authority stringently enforcing law, people do not take it seriously. As I gave in the first case, when I mentioned the fact that this law has a penalty of 50,000 and a recurrent act will actually make them lose their trade license, the person's first question was, nobody educated me on this, and there are so many places, associations which don't have it, why don't you start with them? So, it's the never-ending story that happens. Each one is trying to push it onto the other.
Truly, Anupama. Well, isn't it the basic right of every woman to a safe environment in this country? I cannot fathom that a government body such as the Wrestling Federation of India was non-compliant with the laws. In fact, this Wrestling Federation of India case was an eye-opener for several sports federations in India which were non-compliant. I was just going through another news report where they said that out of the 30 sports federations, several had violated the POSH laws And alarmed by the rampant violations, the National Human Rights Commission has given 16 non-complying sports federations, including the BCCI, a month to submit detailed reports on the status of the constitution of sexual harassment panels and also as to what steps they have taken to address reported violations. So, Anupama, would you like to add anything else before we close?
Yes, Kaveri. It may be of interest for the listeners to know that on 12th May 2023, Supreme Court in its judgment in Aureliano Fernandez versus State of Goa and others issued a set of guidelines once again to ensure the urgent and efficient enforcement of the POSH Act in the interest of working women across the country. Taking note of the fact that in spite of 10 years having been passed after the act came into force, the act is hardly implemented. And amongst many other guidelines it's given, it has stressed on the fact that all government as well as private institution employers, including professional bodies such as architects, doctors, lawyers, have to clearly state on their websites the details of the internal committee, the sexual harassment policy, and has even specified that the authorities, management, and private employers should take immediate steps in familiarizing the committee members with the manner in which the inquiry has to be conducted, and has also stressed that there has to be orientation programs to upskill the members of the committee, awareness programs to educate the employees, and has stated a lot more in their directions, which I think is very important for employers to know that the government, pursuant to these directions, may not be taking it as lightly as they've been taking it so far. So let's hope that very soon we will have a society which is free from sexual harassment, especially for women at workplaces. Well, as a lawyer, whenever I meet a new client, always stress compliance under the POSH Act, because being compliant will save them from a lot of hassles when something unfortunate happens. It's always better to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
You're absolutely right, Anupama. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you found this episode very informative and interesting. Do get in touch with us with your queries, suggestions, feedback by emailing us at admin@upseedconsulting.com or writing to us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We will be back soon with another interesting topic. Until then, wishing you all a great day ahead.